All right, it's simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, websites by plebes. Drop us a like and subscribe. All right, we're going to the numbers. We are currently at a block height of 675,074. Current Bitcoin price, 58,400. Chain rewrite days, 616 total. Lightning capacity, 1,145.11. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 9.58%. And the sats per dollar, ooh, little bit of a dump there, huh? Only 1,713. Yesterday we were at like 1,749. Uh-oh. Something's moving up. And the all-time high, still 61,760.
Man, the numbers are looking phenomenal. Dude, bro, it was what? It was like 10 days ago since all-time high or less than that, man. It's just absolutely crazy that we're staying at these numbers for such a long period of time. I think that's like the surreal feeling, because if you compare this to 2017, when we really reached that peak level, we were only there for a couple of weeks, week or a couple of days, so this time's totally different. And I feel like this thing still has a lot of fuel left in the rocket, so let's see where it takes us.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's crazy stuff.
It's interesting. It's crazy stuff, to say the least. Definitely. And Phil, it's time for it.
The daily fail. All right, everyone. So I kind of feel bad, because I stole a piece of the news and I turned it into a bit of a fail. So, I made things a little bit tough, but here we go. Okay, we're going to start it off. It starts off with a piece of news. Morgan Stanley becomes the first big U.S. bank to offer its wealthy clients access to Bitcoin funds. Phil, why is this a fail? Okay, and then BTC Sessions tweet right here. So he obviously, goes on to explain they're allowing only their richest customers to have access to Bitcoin, requiring clients to have at least 2 million in assets held by the firm to qualify. And I love this piece of the take. Plebes unaffected because we've already been stacking for years. We don't need to be, some person totally, cucked by an institution that has to be one of their wealthiest clients. So I think it's kind of scammy. Why are they only giving access to their richest customers? And of course, they'll probably cite some BS security crap, and be like, well, those people can, they can maybe weather the storm a little more. But if you ask me, I think it's because they understand the size of the opportunity and they owe it to those customers to, what I mean? To, in order, the way I see it, they're creating their own freaking little Cantillon effect. Okay. Within their little closed borders by essentially getting their biggest customers, in on Bitcoin first, which I think is just, it's just weak. Why not just open it to everybody? We can already all purchase Bitcoin. You guys are insane.
But it just goes back to what you were saying about, these stupid laws in the United States about accredited investing and how you have to have like a minimum net worth of 1 million. But those are where the opportunities lay, right? But with Bitcoin, the awesome part about Bitcoin, and is exactly to your point, Phil, is essentially, guess what? You could buy without the system. I don't know if that's a word, but I hope you know what that means. But yeah, you could buy it from outside of the system, and therefore you don't have to deal with all this financial red tape BS that's been there for decades, and it's just terrible, and it benefits only the top 1%. It's such a total scam. But you know what? I'm happy this article came out, and I'm happy BTC Sessions pointed that out, because you know what? Bitcoin is going to disintermediate the hell out of them.
Oh, yeah.
Their clients are going to wise up one day, Phil, and they're going to say, what? I could just buy this on Swan Bitcoin. I could just buy this on Cash App. I could just buy this, on
Unchained.
Unchained. There's so many other, there's so many other
River Financial.
Financial. There's so many other. Yeah, man. There's so
plenty of places they can go. Right. So
exactly.
Morgan Stanley. Pound sand.
And man, Morgan Stanley, at least the executives, because I know the people at the bottom, the younger people definitely have Bitcoin. You guys are going to definitely have fun staying poor. I love playing the air horn. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily Meme Review.
All right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by a blue check mark. Be warned, okay? Be warned of the blue check mark. Just ignore that. But just take a look at the meme, because at least the meme makes sense to me, right? So, Americans, why does life keep getting more expensive? Better reserve. Excellent meme. Conveys such a strong message very efficiently. Phil, because of that, I am going to give that my hair scrunchie. What about you?
Very nice. Yeah, I mean, look, easy to understand. Everybody loves that monkey meme. I mean, I've seen it used so many times. That's definitely one of my favorites. I'm going to go, let's see. Need something unique for this because it's kind of a non-Bitcoin meme, but it's a Bitcoin-related meme. So I think I'm going to go with a Xfinity cable tie. Ooh.
Oh,
cable tie.
Wow.
Fancy. Tying up cables.
Phenomenal.
Got to keep the cables clean, right?
Phenomenal score.
These
are phenomenal scores, so we give it clean scores. But anyways,
I just want to add one piece before we move on. In no way are we endorsing com crap. I'm just putting that out there. It's just a cable tie. That's all it is.
The Daily News, sponsored by Comcrap. But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody. The news for today, check out, is a notable tweet. It's just sometimes I run into these tweets that just perfectly summarize this moment in time and just how Bitcoin just applies, right? How Bitcoin essentially fixes this. And check this out. Like, it's the CNN, protests in Lebanon as currency hits new low. You're not only seeing this in Lebanon, you're seeing this in Argentina, you're seeing this in Venezuela, you're seeing this in Nigeria. Yet 30% of the population in Nigeria is using Bitcoin already, to the point that the bankers are saying that Bitcoin is essentially making their currency worthless.
Another very important thing that we should know is that Bitcoin has made our currency almost useless or valueless.
And that's essentially because people are picking the market, right? The free market, if the government allows it, if the government isn't tyrannical, is picking the better currency. And that obviously is Bitcoin. So, yeah, it's just super interesting, Phil.
I mean, that is just such crazy stuff. And I wonder, in that tweet thread, did Saifedean actually respond? Because it would be interesting. I mean, I wonder why they're, is there any indication as to why they're not switching over to Bitcoin yet?
I actually think he did respond. Yeah, so it looks like he did, Phil. Many have, but it's a very good question I've been asking myself for years. So yeah, but it's unfortunately it's the education, right? And it's the fact that banks are making it very difficult, especially in these countries, these third world countries, to get out of their fiat. So it's unfortunate, but sorry, I got a little confused.
It's the learning curve.
It's
they're gonna slowly start to figure it out. Like Saifedean was saying, more and more have.
Exactly.
So it's coming.
Anyways, another notable tweet that I saw by Documenting Bitcoin, awesome account, which I highly recommend you guys follow. But check it out. It's the Twitter customer service of NatWest. It's their Twitter account. Hi, Mark. As digital and cryptocurrencies are unregulated, our position is that customers should use an alternative regulated form of payment where possible. I'm assuming that some type of customer was asking them via Twitter, like, do you guys accept Bitcoin or something like that? That was their response. And not too long ago, NatWest, that same bank, just came out facing criminal case over money laundering. And this is what we've been talking about for months now, Phil. It's this double standard. If you have a banking license, it's like, do what you want. Just pay the fines. If you don't have a banking license, you go to jail.
That's right, man. They pay to play, and we just go to jail.
I like
that works,
that.
man. When you're big enough, When you're big enough, it's all good times.
It's too big to remember. It's the too big to fail 2008, just this corrupt BS. But anyways,
Weak.
speaking of corrupt governments or governments in general, I don't know much about the French government, but I'm sure there's some corruption there. Anyways, moving on. I don't know.
All governments are corrupt.
All governments are corrupt. Thank you, Phil. Anyways, the headline of this article is France's government is set to auction off 34 million in Bitcoin this week. The governments do this every once in a while if they have a big seizure of, in this instance, it was 611 Bitcoin that was seized. I'm sure it was some type of drug deal, but hopefully France learns from the United States mistakes in the past of seizing all this Bitcoin, just a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin. The U.S. government estimates that the website has generated around 600,000 Bitcoins in commission. Of course, they're talking about the Silk Road. Around 175,000 of these were seized when Ross Ulbricht was arrested and the website was shut down. What they mentioned following in the article is essentially saying, man, they sold it right when they got it, right? So the U.S. government missed out on such a huge amount of first of all, that's a ridiculous amount of corn. I think that's more than what Michael Saylor has, right? So they just sold it at I think Bitcoin was at $500. They got totally wrecked. Right. So I hope governments learn from that and they keep some corn to themselves, or
if governments.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just have to add, if governments were a public company, nobody would buy their shares. Okay. that is the honest to God truth. They are look, they are like the worst run company ever. All they do is bleed.
All they do is
they can't even make free money. Right? They can make you garbage money that makes everybody poorer, but they can't even look at that. All they have to do was hold Bitcoin.
It's
you
crazy.
Don't have to do anything.
But there is hope. There is hope. And the reason I'm saying that there is hope is because there are some in government. Specifically, I just want to mention again, guys, we don't lean left, we don't lean right, we lean Orange coin, we lean orange, we lean Bitcoin. So if anything that Bitcoin stands for, we stand for, just to clarify that. But it looks like, again, a member of the Republican Party, additionally to Senator Loomis from Wyoming and Francis Suarez, mayor of Miami, it looks like another Republican wants to support essentially Bitcoin and Bitcoin businesses in the United States. Just to read the article on Monday, Representative Warren Davidson reintroduced his signature token taxonomy act. The bill establishes much looked clarity for businesses, consumers, and regulators operating in the growing U.S. blockchain ecosystem. Of course, that incorporates Bitcoin. And Representative Davis points out something that we were talking about the other day, Phil, when we were talking about essentially how the FinCEN tried to pass the midnight regulation, trying to pass this tyrannical, every time you make a $2,000 transaction regarding an exchange, you have to send the government a report. It's something crazy. But anyways, he points it out perfectly. He says the window is closing. Representative Davidson, if we don't act quickly, the United States will be left behind. Other countries have found ways to regulate blockchain projects, and in doing so have made themselves more attractive to entrepreneurs. So he understands the regulatory arbitrage that Bitcoin kind of just takes advantage of, just because of how it's architected, right? It's just, man, any country, it's so obvious. Any country that has favorable Bitcoin regulation is going to attract the Bitcoin, is going to attract the Bitcoin business. Therefore, it's going to attract the money, right? Because that's where the new money is going to be. So, man, it's just crazy, dude. It's, for the first time, it's so exciting because it looks like governments are going to have to actually compete for the people's business, for the people's money, for the people's energy, for the people's Bitcoin, right? So it's just so exciting. Phil, what are your thoughts?
So I just want to point out that Warren Davidson he's a bit of a longtime friend of Bitcoin. You know, like he's kind of been around for more than a year, and he was one of the first people to call out that bill that they tried to pass in the middle of the night, right? The other piece of that is that he was also the person in the government that they showed on on TV during one of those I don't know what they are, hearings or trials or whatever the hell it is, but essentially that he was like, there's Bitcoin and there's shitcoin.
A lot of people in this space will use a phrase that you may be familiar with. There's Bitcoin and then there's shitcoin.
So that was him. Look, shout out to him. Like he keeps, he keeps trying. He keeps working at it. He does have some backing. More and more people are starting to pay attention, which is good. And look, it just, these things, they take time. And the reality is that when you don't have the hearts and minds of people entirely, right? Like Bitcoin has our hearts and minds, right? The Bitcoiners and everything like that, and the plebes and the people who currently understand it. But obviously we don't have everybody's hearts and minds. But the more people learn about it, the more people understand it, and the more hearts and minds you get. Like this is just the way it works, because people understand that it works at their core incentives.
Absolutely. And he's not the only member of the Republican Party to support Bitcoin. It also Senator Loomis, which is the senator from Wyoming, major supporter. She joined in the laser rate until 100K meme on Twitter. So, man, and guess what? She's speaking at the Bitcoin 2021 conference. This is absolutely crazy. Look at this. United States Senator, state of Wyoming, speaking at a Bitcoin conference. Wow. Who could have thought, right? And we also, of course, we have Frances Suarez, the mayor of Miami. Man, it makes me so happy. I couldn't believe that Miami is just at the forefront of this, just growing up in Miami. It just doesn't, I can't make the connection yet, but man, shout out to him. He's also going to be speaking at the conference, but I just want to end the news segment, Phil, with some bullish news. Check this out. A tweet by Checkmatey. Bitcoin miner revenue price in USD has hit an all-time high of $52 million per day, right? $52 million per day. That's how much miners are making. And why the F should you guys care, right? Chain security. The more miners make in revenue, the more people are incentivized to start mining, and the more miners and computational power gets added to the chain. Therefore, it makes the chain more resilient. Just to kind of break down how resilient the Bitcoin chain is, it would take 616 days to rewrite the entire Bitcoin chain to attack it, essentially. If they're making $52 million in revenue, right? I could assuming a giant portion of that, $10-20 million, is just an electricity cost, right? Mm-hmm. So in $10-20 million, multiply that by 616, right? Just to kind of give you an idea, and I'll pop that up because I'm terrible at math. Just to kind of give you an idea of how much money it would take over a long period of time, over 616 days, to attack Bitcoin, how much it would cost. And it's a very simple game theory thought experiment, right? Why wouldn't you just mine Bitcoin? Instead of attacking it, if you manage to get all that computational power, right? Yeah. At the end of the day, it's always going to be more profitable to just mine it, right? So this is how crazy this is, and this is how bullish this news is, guys. And just like I've always told you guys many and many, many times before, that the hash rate doesn't always follow the price, but the price generally always follows the hash rate. So when you see bullish statistics like that of the Bitcoin infrastructure, that tells me, Phil, that the price should follow very soon. Not that it matters, but it's just so awesome to see how strong Bitcoin is, how resilient it is to attack.
Totally agreed, man. I just want to go stack sats now. No, I just want to go stack. But of course, I'm not going to get that many because we're up a bit.
Yeah, so I know that when I talk about mining stuff, you know, Phil, like there's a disconnect. But as from a user perspective, what are your thoughts on that? Like when you see metrics like that, when you hear me talking about, you know, the chain rewrite days, like what does that make you feel?
I mean, because I now understand the metrics, obviously it makes me bullish. But yeah, I mean, look, you know, at the end of the day, ever since you taught me about the hash rate, you know, and what it means, you know, to Bitcoin, I just stick to that. And man, it hasn't steered me wrong. You know, anytime I sit there and it's like we get a pullback or something like that, and I'll go take a look at the hash rate and I'm like, hash rate's intact. We're good.
Yeah, man, and it's so true. It's like if you want to look at the health of Bitcoin, don't look at the price. Just look at whether a block is being found every 10 minutes and look at the hash rate. That's all you have to look at, and that will tell you the health of Bitcoin. And as long as the hash rate is going up, right, you could be assured that the price will follow, because that's the value proposition, right? The value proposition is the immutability, right? So the higher those chain rate rewrite days go, the higher the more computational power it would take to attack Bitcoin, the higher Bitcoin should be valued at, right? Exactly. The more value it should be valued at, right? Very complex, but I hope Phil and I broke it down and explained it to you guys. Very, very awesome news segment today. Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. We actually had Coldcard version 4.0.0 firmware that was released, and the details are down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. I'm definitely going to go download that right now. I did it.
Yeah, I don't have a choice.
I did. But we don't have a we don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. But yeah, man.
I could wait.
Definitely. Yeah. Sometimes it's good to wait, right? Because there might be.
Sometimes I give it a week or so, you know, just
might be like a little bug in there, right?
I test a lot of software in general for my daily life, so I know that you don't always want to upgrade right away unless there's like a major critical issue, you know, that you know about that gets fixed. But anyway.
I agree. But yeah, man. Definitely a software update you don't want to miss. You definitely want to have all your hardware wallets up to date, right? That's the most secure thing that you could do. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to smash that like button. Smash. And of course, if you love the show, subscribe. And guys, we will see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.